Okay, so today we're going to look at private lessons in DSM and how to use them. Now, there's a tab here called Private Lessons, and firstly, we probably want to make sure this is enabled. Sometimes it's not by default. So if we go to Global Settings, and then we use the search to search for private, you'll see there's an item called Private Lessons Scheduler Enabled. So if I click on that and then save it, it will enable this setting, and now this menu item will magically appear on the left side if you don't have it now. Next, we want to look at the sales items. So under settings, sales items, we can create sales items related to private lessons. You can see here I've created 1 hour private lessons, 10 hours, and 5 hour packs. I could add new like this, but actually I'm just going to show you one that I already created. And you can see we called it a 10 class pack, and the price was $750, and there's 10 hours in it. We'll go over some of the other information here. Activate on the sale date. So basically they can start to use it after they buy it. It could also be activated after the first visit, or we could select some specific date that it activates on, that maybe for a special that you want to run. We can also set an expiration date. Maybe 2 years later, they just lose their private lessons, for example. And after the expiration date, you can see we have an auto renew option, and this would sell them the item again. Now, the sales start, we can usually leave it as today. If we want to allow people to buy it online in the online client, we set it to yes, otherwise no. And we can sell to all clients, new clients only, or there's another feature with client types that we're developing, but I believe it's not, I don't think it's available yet. And then sell individually. Basically, what this means, let's suppose you're going to sell a pack of things like 10 private lessons and 10 group classes and 10 parties. But the parties are going to be free, for example. So maybe we have a sales item like we have here with 10 parties, but they're free. Well, we wouldn't want to sell that for free individually. It's only included as part of a package. So you can make it so items can only be purchased as part of a package and not by themselves. The additional tab, this is more for group classes, but I was just going to mention that all class schedules of a current season. So if you had a group class where you're using a sales item and you set up 10 schedules, we can make it where when they buy a 10 class pass, it automatically adds them to those 10 schedules rather than them dropping in each week and the admin having to mark them as being in the class. So most of this other stuff is not too related to private lessons. Contract. If we set the contract to yes, then they will be required to sign a contract and when they check out. And the admin will also have a report where they can see contracts that have not been signed. I'll give you a quick look at that. If we go to settings and pages, under pages we can add new and give it a title, of course, like private lesson contract, and then we can do a sales item contract. And then from here, if you do need signature yes, then when they're buying it in the online client, they have an option to, or they actually must sign it in order to check out. And this is the text of that contract that you do here. So they'll be presented with a form with all the text and then a place to sign at the bottom and agree that by signing, they are agreeing that their signature is validating that it's a contract. And then you'll get a PDF that's stored here in DSM. We'll cover that in some other tutorial maybe. And then getting back to this private lessons tab, from here, you can do a lot of things. Here we can see right now all the, if a purchase is assigned or not assigned to a purchase, I'll go into that in a second. Whether it's scheduled, completed, scheduled, canceled in time, canceled too late, didn't show up, or complimentary. We can look at today or tomorrow or some date range if we want to break it down by date range, and then you just enter the dates. We can look for just one instructor's private lessons, and we have a feature with types, and you can add more types besides these types of private lessons. And if you want to find privates just for one student, you could type in, for example, Alice Sutton, and it'll show only her private lessons. Now, when we schedule a private lesson, we can type in the student's name. I'll start typing one, Alice, and Alice Sutton. If it's like a husband and wife taking a private lesson together, you could add that here. And then you select some instructor, and I'll give it a date like May 26th, and a start time. And if I say, it says assign purchased hours if available. If I check that, it'll assign it to the one of their purchase items, but I'm going to leave it blank for now. But we could have done it that way. And now we'll look at this. Let's see. Here's the new one that I just added, and you can see there's 3 scheduled and 2 completed because Alice has completed these last 2. And I might want to check and see, has she purchased anything yet? Well, we haven't applied this private lesson to a purchase. So I'll apply it to the 5-lesson pack, and that means that lesson was assigned to that purchase. Because think about it, maybe you gave her a complimentary lesson, and maybe you sold 10 lessons at a discounted price, but it's a different discount than the one you sold 5 lessons at. So it's important to assign the private lessons to a specific package, which is what DSM does. When it comes to the student, we'll take a look at Alice right quick, and then we'll finish this video. When we look at the student and we go to their purchases, we can add a purchase to their account, such as a 10-lesson pack, $750. Purchase categories, I didn't set them up, but you can divide your purchases into different categories. And if we wanted to, we could actually assign a credit card and either take the money now or leave it and we don't take the money. And then we can set a recurring schedule, like say the first of every month, and repeat it, 100 times. And, each month she's going to keep being charged that amount until you come in here and cut it off. So that's kind of cool to be able to set recurring payments, and it'll automatically add that purchase to her account and take the money. So I won't add it right now, but you can see it's pretty powerful. And, going back over here to purchases. I said I was finished. You can see these are some of the purchases that have been added, and you can see they have expiration dates. And I was going to say complete payments. If we had some number of payments and we had been running credit cards for a while, it might show how many have run through over here on completed payments. And you'll be able to see the date of the charge, and when the next money's coming up. You can see which ones have recently expired and which ones are active. I think usually people will want to look at the ones that are active, and but okay, well, that's a little introduction to some of the features related to private lessons and packages and so much more. So I hope this was helpful, and we'll try to keep making more tutorials to make it easier for you to use our product.